Welcome to Demolition Success Secrets, the podcast that's changing the game for demolition businesses everywhere. Ever wondered how a wrecking ball wielding industry can leverage digital marketing to dominate their market? Well, we've got the blueprints, strategies, expert guests, and more to show you how. Stay tuned, because we're about to blast through the barriers of your business.
Alrighty, guys, welcome to another episode of Demolition Success Secrets. Today we have Lynn on the podcast. The man, the myth, the legend, the EOS master. Lynn, what's going on? How are you doing?
Oh man, having a great day. Good morning. It's great to be on the show. It's amazing to get a chance to talk to you.
Absolutely. Well, Lynn, tell us about yourself. Tell us, how you got to where you are. Tell us about EOS. Give us a little slice of the pie.
Oh, sure. So let's start with about me. Chayton, I've been an entrepreneur my whole life. I had a paper route when I was 9. I started a mobile disc jockey company in my teens, started building computers in my early 20s, built an online auction, one of the first online auctions in 1996, launched our first e-commerce store in 97, started building websites for customers probably around 97, 98, and built a pretty successful marketing agency business. Just kind of cruising along, doing okay. Had a nice life. Sort of had the wake up call of all wake up calls in 2020. I suffered a massive pulmonary embolism, a bilateral pulmonary embolism. My doctor told me that had I not made it to his office that day, I would have died in my sleep that night. But I collapsed and was really struggling to breathe. And as I laid there dying, all I could think about was, what kind of mess did I just leave my wife and son? My wife was gonna, I thought for sure I was dead, and I was just consumed with the thought of my wife having to go to my office, lock the door, fire all the team, lose all the clients because, man, I didn't have a business. I had a job. And so I don't know if you die and your business dies with you, you don't really have a business. And so obviously, thank God I recovered, I survived, but I knew I had to do something different. I knew I had to change the way my business was run. And my first instinct was, I've got to sell this thing. I've got to do something different. This business is killing me. And I don't know if you know this or not, Chayton, but you can't sell a job. So I started researching, and I found EOS, and I found the Entrepreneurial Operating System, and I knew I needed that sort of structure and something that would take us to the next level. I had a successful business. I was doing okay, but we had the same challenges that most businesses have. We had a lack of clear vision about who we were and who we served. We maybe had a lackluster team commitment, I would assume, because of a lack of clear vision from the top, and we had a lack of discipline and accountability kind of across the board. And I knew I needed to do better, and I knew I needed to do better for my family. And so found EOS, tried to self-implement that, and that was a little rough. Ended up hiring a professional EOS implementer, where we grew, we scaled, and had a pretty remarkable transformation. And so we grew from 10 employees to 27. We 3x'd our revenue. We 7x'd our profits. We grew over the 7-figure number. We ultimately, I was able to sort of take myself out of the day-to-day operations and build a real team that ran my business. And then that ultimately led to a successful sale or acquisition of my company. And so I fell in love with the process of EOS while we were doing it. Sort of fell in love with my business again, fell in love with the entire process of building and scaling and building great teams and build great leadership teams. And I just wanted to help other people do the same. Became a professional EOS implementer, and here we are today.
That is wild. Okay, love it. So you've been through the ups and downs, and I think too in the demolition world, there are ups and downs. I was at the national conference a few weeks ago in San Antonio, Texas, and something that was so crazy and funny is 2007, 2008 were referenced constantly, as if we just went through that phase, as if it was just a few years ago, when it's been quite some time now. So in certain businesses like this, it is a smaller few $1,000,000 a year. It does ride on the founder, the owner, where they could have been in the same shoes as you are, or maybe they already have been. I have actually had a guest who came on. He got in a pretty gnarly accident, a vehicle accident, and he had to make the decision, kind of like you, to come back, and now he's doing things better. I don't know if he's implemented EOS. So what could you say, maybe let's say with the smaller, still riding on the owner companies, how EOS could be very valuable in the demo space? And then after that, we'll kind of take a pause and we'll go on to those medium and then the large companies in the demo space. So let's grab the smaller, boss is the owner, very, very riding on that person to make the business spin. How can EOS be of value?
So let's start by talking about, all of us are going to exit someday, whether that's voluntary or involuntary. We talk about the different ways that an exit happens to business owners, and some of the involuntary ways, I guess, call them the 5 Ds, are death or disease or disability or divorce or distress. There's another one, we'll throw one on top of that, or it's just being disillusioned. Business owners are fatigued. Maybe you don't want to do this anymore, but sort of exit planning is good business strategy. And so even at a small level, you have to know that someday you're going to exit your business, and someday you're going to need to build a leadership team around you that operates this business. And yeah, sure, you can still be the sales guy. Sure, you can still be the vision of the company, but you have to build a team around you, no matter the size, to be able to operate your business efficiently, technically, without you. And if you think about, business valuation, and some of us are thinking about, like, how do we build and scale something to eventually sell? The truth is that when it comes to business valuation, if you are if the CEO or the owner of the company is the best salesperson in the company, or, that business is less valuable, because when the business sells, the best salesperson leaves. And so now you've sort of there's a lot of risk around that business to the new potential buyer. They will be willing to pay less. But that's a little off track from your question. But I wanted to talk about the fact that technically we're all going to exit someday. And I think the entrepreneurial operating system will give you a really, really good foundation at any size to build your business on solid ground. We don't want to build our business on the sand. We got to make sure we put a nice foundation in place where we begin to build a business that we can sort of be in the owner's box and play a big role in our company. Maybe we are really focused on our unique ability and focused on the high dollar value items or the high dollar value tasks that we do in our business. But there are tasks in our business that are sort of a lower dollar value that should be done by somebody else, and you can be focused on sort of the high dollar tasks in your business. And so for a small business, I think EOS is certainly an option. How would I start as a small business? I'd pick up the book Traction by Gino Wickman. I would definitely read that. I think if you're more of a visionary, sort of the guy who sees the big picture, maybe listen to the audiobook of a book called Get a Grip. And that's kind of the fable of EOS. And it talks about how a small company puts EOS in place and how it basically helps them grow. And so, EOS is not for everyone. And I don't know that it's a great fit for everyone. And so there is kind of a size that you sort of need to be to make this make sense. And I think you need to have a small leadership team of 3 or more people that begin to form the basis of the company. I think EOS essentially might not be a great fit for like solopreneurs. I mean, the concept of EOS and the idea behind EOS is that me as a professional EOS implementer, I'm trying to help you build a great leadership team. And I want to help that leadership team get better at 3 things. I want to help them get better at vision, traction, and healthy. And by vision, I mean making you and your leadership team 100%, getting you 100% on the same page with where you're going and how you're going to get there. By traction, I mean instilling discipline and accountability so that no matter where you look in your company, you see people executing on your vision. And by healthy, I just mean making you and your team a more cohesive, functional, fun-loving team that actually likes to work together. And so there is a certain size that I think you need to be. EOS, our target market is companies, privately held companies of 10 to 250 employees, whose owners are open-minded, they're growth-minded, they're willing to be open and honest and vulnerable with those around them. They want help, and they want to build a real leadership team.
Do you see that certain industries appeal in a certain way and other industries don't appeal?
EOS is really industry agnostic. I happen to have a lot of clients in one particular industry, but there is no, EOS is an operating system, and my job as a professional implementer is to make it fit you, not squeeze you in the EOS box.
Okay. Now, maybe some of our audience is wondering, okay, I hear Lynn, I see where he's going, I get all this stuff. What's in it for me? What are some of those quick wins or quick little case studies that you've seen, getting in with a company and in a matter of a year, this became this? Any of those like kind of quick takeaways that maybe they could jot down and say, all right, let me dig into this a little bit more?
Yeah, well, certainly I mentioned my own. In a year and a half, we 3x'd our revenue, 7x'd our profit, grew from 10 employees to 27, and ultimately had a successful sale of our business. And so that's pretty powerful. That was my own example. I've got a lot of clients that are having explosive growth. But when you think about your business, you have multiple functions. You have a sales and marketing function, you've got an operations function, and you've got sort of a finance function. So essentially what we say is you gotta go out and you gotta sell stuff, then you gotta deliver that stuff, and then you gotta collect the money. All three of those have to be strong. What happens if you have a really strong sales department and fulfillment or finances weak. You're going to churn clients out like crazy because you're selling and you can't deliver. Let's say operations or finance is really strong, but marketing's weak. Well, then you don't have a lot of clients. And so maybe sales is strong, maybe operations is strong and delivery is strong, and maybe finance is weak. That might mean $10 million in and $11 million out. And so we work to make the entire company strong. And the foundation of EOS is really built around sort of 6 key components of your business. As entrepreneurs, we're kind of built the same way. We're all kind of used to dealing with or kind of forced to deal with like 136 simultaneous issues. There's a lot of stuff going on in our business. But in EOS, we find that to the extent that we can strengthen just 6 key components of your business, then all of those issues sort of tend to fall into place because they're really just symptoms of a sort of a greater root cause. And so we work really hard to help you strengthen your vision component. We want to make sure that you and your team are 100% on the same page with where you're going and how you're going to get there. We focus really, really heavily on your people component. We want to make sure that you have all the right people in all the right seats. We focus on the data component of your business, and we talk about how we're going to run your business on real numbers, facts, figures, and not sort of the subjective emotions that sometimes drive our decision making. And then when your vision component's strong and your people component's strong and your data component is strong, your business becomes a little more transparent. You start to see, the issues and challenges and obstacles. Those things just start to pop out at you. And so we focus on your issues component. We make you and your team really, really strong at solving those issues as they arise. Then we move over to your process component, and we make sure that all your kind of core processes, the things that are required to do your business well. We make sure that you and your team have documented those core processes. Those core processes are being followed by all, so that anybody who touches one of those processes is doing it the right way and the best way every time. And then we move to the traction component. Now, the traction component is kind of at the bottom of the model, and there's no surprise there because we got to bring that vision down to the ground and execute on it with discipline and accountability. Because we say vision without traction is hallucination. And so we take this EOS model and we really work to strengthen 6 key components. And we have like 2 tools or disciplines in each one of those that we use to actually help you grow and scale your business. And so if you think about your business, there's a lot of ways you can run it. We mostly start businesses because we love doing something. And what we find out is that if we want to grow, we want to scale, we got to figure out a way to replicate ourselves. And then, we got to be able to delegate some of our tasks. We got to be able to focus on our unique ability. And that's a challenge for most people. And so a lot of people, man, they just run their business on guesswork or hard work. I suggest you run it on a framework. And that's what EOS is.
That's awesome. Love it. Love it. Love it. So in the demolition world, maybe we could play a little acting game. Let's say we have a demolition company. They're doing $30 million a year, and they have a decent sales pipeline, decent marketing. Their fulfillment abilities. That was an interesting word, fulfillabilities. Their fulfillment abilities are very capable. They're self-performing a lot of their work. They have enough equipment. They have good team members, things. And, due to the nature of their numbers, they have a good internal as well as maybe, let's say, external accounting, a CFO perhaps. Now, again, this is off the cuff. This is demolition specific, anything like that. For the people who are listening, maybe they could relate to being in that situation. Say, hey, we're running a pretty good ship, but we want to double the company over the next 10 years or something like that. They might come to someone like you. What are some of those kind of next steps from there? They say, hey, Lynn, all this sounds great. We're bought into EOS. Let's go. What does Lynn's timeline look like, from the vision to the actual traction? Is that a year long? Is that a 6 month? And kind of what are those early steps to then make that come to life?
Sure. So let me talk through sort of our proven process and how we implement EOS in a company like this. Our first session, we call it Focus Day. We want to give you traction first and vision second. We want to give you something that's tangible. And so we spend 8 hours together in our first day. We focus on 5 very important things. We teach you the concept of hitting the ceiling, that it's true that no business grows in a straight line, and as you grow, you're going to hit ceilings along the way. And we want to give you the skills and the tools to be able to break through those ceilings as you go. So we talk about these 5 leadership abilities. Then we build out your accountability chart, and we're going to map out the accountability chart for the leadership team. We're going to map out all the roles and responsibilities, and we're going to make it really, really clear that we're trying to put the right people in the right seats. Now, the right people, what does that mean? Those are people that live your core values. Those are people who just exemplify your core values. They're people that you want to be around, people that you want to work with, and we can give you guidelines and we help you build your core values. The core values actually come in the second session, but we start building out that accountability chart, and we start mapping out what your company is going to look like 6 to 12 months from now. Then we go in and we build your first set of rocks. Now, what is a rock? Well, a rock is your biggest business priority for the next 90 days. So sort of a Stephen Covey term. It came from an example where he had a glass cylinder on a table, had a pile of rocks, had a pile of pebbles, pile of sand. The rocks sort of represent the big things, the big projects, the most important things. The pebbles sort of represent the distractions in your life, and the sand kind of represents everything else. And if you put those things in the order that most people do, we have the distractions and everything else, and then we try and put the big stuff on top, it won't fit. And so we sort of coined the term rocks. It's popularized by Vern Harnish in his system, Scaling Up, but sort of adopted it in EOS as a rock being your biggest 90-day priority. So we're going to develop your biggest 90-day priorities. This is the most important things you can work on. And then we're going to teach you sort of a level 10 meeting pulse. We're going to teach you how to have great meetings in your company at the leadership level. And then we're going to build out a scorecard, and we're going to build out kind of the first version of your scorecard. And we are going to make sure that you're starting to run your business on facts and figures and real numbers, because you got to know, as a leadership team, you got to be able to look at your sales department and say, hey, is our sales department having a good week or a bad week? You got to have some sort of metric or KPI to understand that. Is our fulfillment department having a good week or a bad week? Is our operations department having a good week or a bad week? Finance, good week, bad week. Is our customers happy? Are our employees happy? How do you track that in sort of a dashboard in some way that gives you a pulse on your business? And then we send you out into your business and we let you operate for 30 days. 30 days later, we're going to come back and we're going to do our second 8-hour day together. And that's called Focus Day. And in Focus Day, then we're going to go back. We're going to look at all the work that we did. We're going to make sure that we're kind of tweaking and kind of fixing any bugs and and making that a little bit better and tightening that up. And then we're going to start in on your vision. So in vision building day one, we're going to build out your core values. And as I said before, core values are really just an essential set of guiding principles that define who you are at the core of your company. You know, what kind of people we want here. So we do an amazing core values exercise and kind of build out the core values for your team. And then we teach you how to use those to drive, I don't know, to attract the kind of people that you want to work there, maybe repel the kind of people that you don't. Then we build out your core focus. We kind of determine, like, why do we do what we do? What's our sweet spot? And then we kind of build out our big, hairy, audacious goal. We're like, what's our 10-year target or 7-year target? So we start build our future, and we start looking ahead. Then I send you back out into the world, and you kind of work on another 30 days. We come back again for the third sort of installment of EOS, and we call this Vision Building Day 2. Once again, we're going to go back. We're going to look at all of the things that we worked on before. We're going to work out the kinks or bugs, and then we're going to start building out your marketing strategy. Marketing strategy is really 4 parts in EOS, but the gist of it is we've got to know exactly who we should talk to, and we got to know exactly what we're going to say to them to get the biggest bang for our buck when it comes to marketing and sales. So we're going to build out your ideal prospect. We're going to build out your 3 uniques, which are the things that make you unique and different than your competitors. We're going to build out a proven process, and then a potential guarantee. Once we do that, we're going to map out your 3-year picture. We're going to start making this real. You know, we've made some big plans, but now we're going to start bringing this down to the ground and making it real. And we're going to do that with our 3-year picture. And we're going to map out exactly what your company is going to look like just 3 years from now. And so we're going to predict revenue. We're going to predict profit. We're going to predict some measurables. And then we're going to map out what this company looks like. Because if we can all see it, if we can feel it, if we can taste it, if we can smell it, the chances of that happening are just significantly greater. Then we're going to take that one step back, and we're going to build your 1-year plan. So knowing where we got to be in 3 years, where do we have to be in 1? We're going to map out some goals for the year, and then we're going to set another set of 90-day rocks. And we're going to, with our 3-year picture in place, with our 1-year plan in place, now we're really going to execute on the next 90 days on something that moves us closer. Once we have that installed, that's 60 days in, you're going to have EOS installed. You will have mastered the focus day tools. And then we just move out into execution mode, where I'm running your quarterlies and your annuals just as long as you need me. For most people, that's a 2-year process. Some people sort of graduate from that a little early. At some point, you're going to graduate. It's not my plan to embed myself in your business. I want to teach you this simple set of timeless principles and concepts, and I want to get the heck out of your way. But I want to help you put this system in place so you can run a better business and, quite frankly, live a better life. So that's a really long answer to say that it's going to take a couple of years maybe to have this in place. But in 60 days, you're going to have a really solid foundation.
That's awesome. And you're there through those years, or is it Lynn's kind of the first year and then they're off and then you just come in on occasion? How does that kind of look?
So that really depends, Jayden. So I'm simply running those events. So I'm running the focus day, the vision building day 1, vision building day 2, and then I come in and run a quarterly with you. So, you know, it's sort of scientifically proven that we can only really focus on something for about 90 days. And then the rope starts to fray and it starts to fall apart. And so we've got to be dedicated to coming back together every 90 days. We're going to look back at the last quarter. We're going to see how you did. How did we do? Did we hit our revenue goals? Did we hit our measurables? Did we hit our profit? How did we do on our rocks? Did we get those projects complete? Then we're going to make sure we're all still on the same page, because sometimes we're not. We're going to get back on the same page about what we're going to do for the next quarter. And then we're going to set a new plan for the next 90 days. And then I'm going to let you guys go and run your business. Now,
very cool.
So basically we meet roughly after the first 3 sessions, we're going to meet roughly 5 times a year. I'm going to run 3 quarterlies. I'm going to run a 2-day annual with me or with you, where we do team building, and we do a lot of cool culture stuff, and we set a amazing plan for the following year. And so some people keep their implementers forever. It's actually really powerful to have a third-party voice come into your company. I mean, you know what it's like. Like, you tell your kids something and they don't hear you, but they hear it from they hear it from some other authority, and they're like, oh, this guy said. I'm like, yeah, that's what I've been telling you. It's exactly how it happens in EOS. It's a very strange thing, but the team just listens to their implementer in a way that they don't listen to their boss. It's an odd thing, but it's real.
Is it usually adding more team members, subtracting more team members? I know it could probably be a number of different ways, but what do you normally see?
Well, in my own experience, we didn't subtract. We went from 10 to 27 because we had kind of explosive growth. Now,
Okay.
it's important for us to have the right people in the right seats. And again, right people are people that live our core values, but right seat is people who are great at their job. These are people with God-given talent. These are people who are just excel at doing the job that we've given them, and they get it, they want it, and they have capacity to do it. And so we have ways to measure that. And we want to make your teams really efficient. But for most companies, when we build up that accountability chart, man, that owner's name goes in a lot of boxes. And it's kind of eye-opening to realize that you're not just the visionary of the company. You're maybe also the integrator. You're maybe also the head sales guy. You're maybe the head of operations. Heck, you're maybe still the head of finance. And it's eye-opening to understand that, quite frankly, we only have 100% of the time available in the day. And you got to decide: are you a 40-hour week person? Are you a 60-hour week person? Are you a 50-hour week person? Which one of those you are, you will hit a 100% capacity. And if you look at your job and you look at your accountability chart and you see 120 hours worth of work and you're a 60-hour week person, something's got to change. You're not going to be able to do all of that work appropriately with the right energy, and you're not going to be able to put enough time into it. And so we help you really map out what that company needs to look like for you to run a great and efficient company. And so in some cases, I would say that EOS allows you to kind of spot those people that maybe don't fit your core values or maybe aren't that great at their job. And we've got systems in place to help you eventually, in a lot of ways, when you start to put this discipline and accountability in place, those people kind of weed themselves out and sort of self-select. But accountable people love systems that'll help them be better. They love scorecarding. They love an opportunity to be better at their job. And so those are the right kind of people that you want in your company. And obviously we're gonna part with those that don't.
Do you see any interesting kind of friction during the meetings where sometimes people are vocal or super uncomfortable, or a firing happens in one of those meetings or something weird where they're like, let's put a pin in this, Bob, you and I got to talk after this, something of that nature?
Yeah, 100%. I've never had anyone fired in a session for something they say. We ask our teams to be open and honest. And by open, I mean, let's hear everybody's perspective. And I mean, everyone, I want everybody to be heard. There's a great quote that I heard recently, and I'm going to just paraphrase it because the real quote's a little more complicated, but being heard and being loved are so close to the same feeling that most people can't tell the difference. And so we want to make sure that this leadership team is free to speak and share their thoughts. And sometimes that causes friction, but we're about healthy conflict because most people in their businesses spend a lot of time on being smart, how we do what we do. And they spend very little time on being healthy, which is having honest conversations and putting issues out on the table and realizing the issues in our company aren't between us, they're in front of us. And so, we sort of feel like issues don't have feelings. Issues are just issues, and we need to solve them. And well, what are we going to do about this issue? And so, yeah, we've had some tense sessions. There's been tears, but those sessions are always amazing because we come out stronger on the other side.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, if you guys are getting tears, that's pretty valuable stuff that's going on there.
I've had team members say, this is the first time I feel like I've been heard.
Wow.
The first time I feel like I'm a part of something bigger. And so this happened to me in my own company. One of the things we do as implementers is after a quarterly, we suggest to our team or to our visionary that they need to give a quarterly state of the company address. And so when I did my first one, I kind of shared my vision with the company. Now, we had vision, like it was in my head, but it wasn't clear. And the truth was I created it. And so when we came in with my implementer and I brought my core values and I brought my stuff, he tore it up in front of me. And he's like, Lynn, those are your core values, not the team's. And so when we built them together, the team bought in to see them make the plan for our future, to see them create our core values, to see them create it. I got team unity and leadership team unity. And so then we go and share that with the rest of the team. We got to get that shared by all. So I did this quarterly state of the company address. I had a team member, and she's so sweet, but she lived in the Philippines. All she did was build citations for us. Quite frankly, I didn't know if she was really working. I just kept getting invoices. I kept paying them. I didn't know what she was doing. I didn't feel like she wanted to be a part of the team because she wasn't really in a lot of team meetings. I gave this quarterly state of the company address, and she messaged me afterwards, and she said, "Lynn, for the first time, I feel like I'm a part of this team. For the first time, I feel like I'm part of something bigger." And that was just a lack of communication on my part about where we were going. And, I mentioned it earlier that one of the challenges we had, I think, was more of a lack of team commitment. That was because I never shared my vision and we didn't build it together. And when we built that together, our team really bought in. We decided who we were, who we served, and we focused and we created projects that moved us forward. So, yeah, I don't know if that answers the question, but certainly I think as you put a system like this in place, the cream will rise to the top and you can build an amazing leadership team around it.
Well, yeah, I envision that companies are going to make more money working with you guys and implementing. Is there maybe something that you guys speak of before someone becomes a client where you have to kind of get their head around the fact that maybe they're going to be more costs, such as hires, marketing spend, things of that nature? Is there something that you guys talk about where you say, hey, we're going to make things more efficient, we're going to get you down the road, and to do that, you of course have to spend more money, hire more people, etc. But is there any sort of budget discussion prior to working with someone where you can say, hey, we might cut costs by this amount, and then we're going to increase costs by this amount, but that's to sustain your growth? Is there any sort of kind of wisdom or genius there to prep someone on what beyond what your investment is, what their investment is working with you guys outside of your costs?
Sure, that's a great question, and quite frankly, I don't make those decisions. And so I'm a facilitator, I'm a teacher, I'm a coach. And by facilitator, I mean I'm going to create the discussion in the room. The wisdom is in the room. It's 99% already there. I'm not a consultant. I'm not teaching you. I'm not telling you how to run your business. I'm creating the discussion, and I'm showing you the path, and I'm showing you what's right in front of you, and I'm helping you structure what you have. And so if you make the decision to say, hey, I've got to take myself out of that role, that's not a decision that I've made. I just kind of open your eyes to it. And so not all of my teams have to hire new people. And so it's not really a discussion we had before. I certainly explain the cost and what it costs to work with us and things like that. It's probably half the cost of a mid-level employee to have me, but not exactly, I guess is maybe the way I would phrase that. Certainly there's no surprises in EOS, I don't think.
Cool. Anything, marketing and advertising and things were kind of spoke of, and maybe finance getting more mature there. I assume they need to kind of have their head in. We're going to pay Lynn, take care of that. We're going to get more efficient on our cost current state, but we do need to put our big boy pants on because we may need to really ramp up some of these other things as we reveal them through Lynn's guidance.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to have a hobby, go ahead. But if you hire me to make you great. I'm going to make you exceptional. You didn't hire me to make you mediocre. We're going to make this a great leadership team. And so, we don't pay people. People don't get paid for hobbies. Let's be serious about our business and let's grow this thing. Honestly, I want you to get what you want out of the business. If it's not growth, we're not going to focus on growth. Like if you want to build a lifestyle business, we can do that. I have no skin in the game other than I want to get what you want. So in fact, I tell clients, I want to help you get more of what you want from your business.
Makes sense. Would you say that a lot of your clients are focused on selling the business in a coming number of years and kind of utilizing this to really get them to that state? Or are most of them, we just want a better business, there's no vision in sight of selling this thing? Is there some sort of 50-50 on that or consensus?
Yeah, well, yeah, it's interesting. So I saw some metrics and numbers just recently. I've become actually a certified exit planner, and Some of the statistics there are wild. 80% of the average business owner's wealth is locked up inside their business. 50% of all business exits are involuntary. 80% of all business owners have no written transition plan. And so there is most companies aren't even thinking about an exit because they can't see it. They just don't think it's possible because their business is chaos. And so I think exit planning is good business strategy. I think thinking about starting with the end in mind. And again, what we're really trying to give you is options. I mean, you dictate whether or not you want to sell the business, but wouldn't it be nice if you had the option? So it's not EOS is to build a great foundation and build a great company, build a great leadership team. And what you do with it after that is really up to you. Obviously, I have some skills in that too to help with, but I would say that most people aren't really thinking about that.
I kind of had a vision where some people be very forthcoming, like, hey, we're bringing you in, we're going to rock this sucker. And then the goal is in 5 years, 10 years, it's out of my hands. I'm going to be on the beach with a margarita and I'm going to live off the earnings. Very interesting.
A little bit tough to sell to a team when you're trying to build leadership, that's
right.
And so, yeah, I think maybe if that is the thought, I don't know that that's expressed a lot. I encourage my owners and visionaries to be open and honest with the team, at least the leadership team, about where we're going, where we're going. And so if that's the plan, we plan for it. And we want to make sure that we have a transition plan to either maybe the employees buy the company. Maybe we help the employees take over. Maybe we help a family member and we build a legacy and we bring a son or a daughter in to run the company. Maybe we move them into the integrator role and we start to build out a life without that owner. And so we can plan for that. We can plan an owner's box. So we can start to plan, how does this business run without the current owner? So it really depends on what you want. Again, I want to help you get more of what you want from your business.
Got it. All right. Well, to wrap things up, for Demolition owners, team members, etc., anyone who's listening, what would be a quick little takeaway from Lynn to consider or consolidate this conversation of EOS and their business? What would be that, like, hey, you should reach out to Lynn, or you should consider getting the book traction, or what have you? What is a quick little synopsis as to why they should take some steps into EOS if it's a fit?
Sure. And so what I want for you, and what I want for you, and I want for your listeners, and I want for your demolition owners, is I want them to live what we call the EOS life. And that is doing what you love with people that you love, having a major impact, being appropriately compensated, and having time for other passions. That's what I want for every business that I go into. I want them to build that sort of life where they're doing what they love with people they love. They're having an impact and they're being appropriately compensated, and they're not killing themselves. They have time for other passions. And so that's really the mission of what I do. That's my core focus and my target. That's what I'm trying to help people with. And if that's something that you want, there's EOS is easy, right? You can give me a call. We'll jump on a quick call with you. We'll schedule a 90-minute meeting with your leadership team. This is free. I'm going to give you a 90 minutes of my time. We're going to talk through EOS. I'm going to learn about you. You're going to learn about me. I'm going to show you all of the EOS tools, and then I'm going to show you what it looks like to work with me. There's no obligation. And then even in EOS, there's no contract. There's no engagement letter. It's session by session. And my guarantee is if you don't get value from our session, don't pay me.
Yeah, that's a pretty good guarantee. And you're living by your own mission of, you mentioned in reference the guarantee of sorts in your clients' businesses. So you have one yourself, so you're living it and breathing it, which is refreshing. Some people, they'll talk the talk, and then it's like, well, are you walking the walk? So you actually are doing that, which is amazing. Super awesome. I guess one little last quick question is, do you have to be physically present? Would you say there's a percentage of the time that you are physically present at a client, once they become a client, versus doing things virtually? How does that look?
There are a number. EOS traditionally is done in person. when COVID hit, we had to find a different way to do things, obviously. And so a good number of implementers actually will do sessions virtually, and 75% of my sessions are virtual. Now I love coming and I love being in a room with people. I love the tightness, and I love being able to read the face in it. I love being able to call out when somebody rolls their eyes, and I love being in the room with somebody. But virtual sessions are amazing too, and you will get every bit of benefit from EOS that you would if we were live. Being live is just a little bit better, but virtual is amazing too. In fact, last night I had a session with a client in New Zealand, and so we did their 8-hour session yesterday. It was amazing. Had a great day. So whether your team is virtual or in person, there's an option for you.
Love it. Love it. Love it. All right. Well, Lynn, let's talk about how people can get in touch with you. Feel free to give a website, phone number, an email, any of those sorts of things. How can our audience engage with you if that's on their mind?
Sure. I'm super easy to find. Pretty uncommon name. I think I'm the only Lynn Askin on the planet. So a quick Google search will pull up all of my socials. You can go to lynnaskin.com/linktree. I have a link to all my socials, or just go to lynnaskin.com and reach out to me. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, all of those other good places. My email address is lynn.askin@eosworldwide.com.
Sweet. Love it. All right, guys. You heard it from Lynn. EOS, super, super important if you want to get your business to where it should be, or where you think it deserves to be and well beyond. He is a great resource. So yeah, Lynn, you and I are going to hang out on the line here, but we are going to sign off to our audience. So thank you guys so much for listening. And Lynn, thank you so much for being on this episode.
Jay, thanks so much. I really appreciate you.
Absolutely. All right. See you, gang. Bye.
That's a wrap for this episode of Demolition Success Secrets. Stay tuned and subscribe for more explosive insights from our upcoming episodes. Until then, continue to blow up your demolition business and make the competition rubble in your path.